right, welcome to another episode of Mental Health Mondays. I am Ron, and my guest at this time is a very, very cool special guest.
Oh, we give you fanfare. Danger Mouse.
He's the greatest. He's fantastic. Wherever there is danger, he'll be there. He's the ace. He's amazing.
He's amazing. He's the ace. And we are friends from long ago in the 80s. As you can tell by my background, these two clowns went and grew up and became old men. I'm talking about my buddy Tim Emanuel. And how you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining me on this trip down memory lane.
Man, thanks for having me. This is exciting. Fanfare and everything. The host with the most. And we were talking about it right before you started. The background there behind you. I love that.
Yeah. Look at these two jokers. What were they up to? You had I know when this was taken. This was taken your last day in Montclair. This was because I remember I was so bummed that day. I was like, man, my best friend's leaving, man. But you had like the battleship game, and I think it was just one of the many days that you were plotting to take over the world, just casually, you know.
There were, electronic battleship. It was cool. It make these cool bomb noises, dude.
Very, very cool. And it was being military brats ourselves. You know, I think we had a lot of military themed activities. I used to remember we did the camping out. We played military. We were talking earlier about Pasportos.
Greatest game ever invented, Pasportos.
Greatest game, and it didn't make any sense except that I don't know if we watched a movie or something, but like basically the premise of the game. You correct me if I got this wrong, but was that we had like a border. It was border patrol. And one or two people would be the inspectors, and the rest of us had to sneak in. We had to sneak grass across the border.
Yep.
And now instead of marijuana, we would just grab clumps of grass out of people's lawns, and that was the grass.
A dead leaf or something
a dead leaf or something like that, and we had to hide it. And I feel like that we got so ingenious with the way places we would hide this stuff. I think you had like a removable handle on your bike or something, and you would stuff it up the.
Yeah, it was broken, and the grip would come off, and you could stick leaves in there.
So, if you got across the border without getting busted, then you got to go woo. And if you got caught, you got put in jail. And it was weird because we would say Pasportos.
Yes, Pasportos,
but we would say it with like a thick German Russian mixed accent. But we were smuggling weed across the border in Russia for some reason, or Germany or something.
No idea. No idea where that came from. No idea. I think that had to be David Oliver came up with that one. I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, that was anything military like that was David Oliver.
Yeah.
But how you doing, man? After this photo was taken, where in the world did you go, man?
Oh man, where did we go? I think from there I went to North Carolina. Again, military brats. So so my dad was in Camp Lejeune, and then I think we wanted to go back to Virginia. We went like Virginia, North Carolina a couple times. Eventually ended up I did my first year of high school in Virginia, and then finished high school in a little town called Woolwich, Pennsylvania. Woolwich coats and jackets and hats. It's kind of an outdoorsy sort of brand from like the 30s. Like they just make these big wool coats. So finished high school there, and then just kind of went to college in Pennsylvania, and just been here ever since.
Very cool, very cool. And do you? How does Pennsylvania compare to your memories of Virginia?
Less humidity.
Yes,
that's for sure.
Yeah, there were some humid days in the summer.
Oh, those sweaty days running through the woods trying to shoot each other with sticks.
Yep.
But no, it's nice. It's green. Can't complain. Gets cold. Gets damn cold.
Are you closer to Pittsburgh or closer to Philadelphia?
Pittsburgh. I'm probably about 20 minutes outside Pittsburgh.
All right. So I'm going to see if I use the Pittsburgh terminology correct.
Okay.
All right. Yin's got to listen to me as I talk about this, John?
Good. Very good.
All right, good. Okay, what are some other? What's
pass
that?
Native. You could be a native.
I could pass. All right.
Pass.
And I'm gonna order a hoagie. To is that good? Am I there?
You're good. You're good.
All right. And there was one other. What's give me another Western Pennsylvania line.
You can like going at a supermarket and you gotta get a buggy.
Get a buggy at the supermarket.
Where you go pick up gum bands or at the supermarket. Get some.
Let me get down the supermarket with the buggy.
Yeah.
All right. So I passed. All right.
Hey, absolutely. Flying colors.
Very cool. Very cool. And we did bump into each other a couple times. I remember there was one time I think we came to visit and we stayed with you, but then, oh, look at this. There he is.
Look at that.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. You and your mom just came. I couldn't remember exactly what prompted the trip or what, but it was great. You guys came down for a couple of days, I think.
Yeah, we stayed and you taught me guitar lessons, and I realized that's when I realized how terrible at guitar I was. I would sit there and, the only thing I had growing up was My Dog Has Fleas guitar.
Oh, yeah. And
you're teaching me that of course, that was, we were both heavily influenced by one of our idols, Mr. Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, for sure.
And that was the birth, I think, of us coming up with song parodies, at least at that point. I know that eventually that led to some of the creations we had. But one of the coolest kismet moments was my mom took me and another friend of mine to Busch Gardens, and we're getting in line for, I think it was Loch Ness. No, it was one of the rides. It might have been Big Bad Wolf, but I noticed some tall, lanky, blonde-haired dude standing in front of me, and I was like, I think I know that dude. And then I just took it off, and then I don't know how it happened, but we ended up seeing each other. And I tried really hard to find that photo of us, but
do you have a picture from that? Do you have the picture from that?
That's what I'm looking for. My mom has it somewhere, but I got to dig it up. I'll put it on the Facebooks there. Okay, I'll put it on the Facebooks, John. So Yins can look at it. But yeah, and it was cool though. But it was so funny as we both had that same kind of. We almost had the same faces as here. Yeah, we're standing there like, oh, look at us now. We're a couple of studs, man. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. And the best thing is that, like, when you just show up here or at the Busch Gardens, or even just now, you just kind of fall into those patterns. I feel like I just saw you yesterday. Like,
exactly. Yeah. I feel like we just picked up where we left off. Let's go hang out. Let's go find Turtle Island and and go on an adventure. Exactly. Yeah, every time I hear like, Danger Mouse or some of the stuff that we got into, I think of you, man. And yeah, man, you were my best friend, and it's really cool. We could just kind of pick up like this.
Oh, for sure. It's amazing.
So I understand that you kept your musical inclinations and got into a band.
Yeah. Play guitar off and on, just kind of teaching myself. I was never really serious about it. But met some people in college. One thing led to another, and we decided, hey, let's start a band. And I'm still playing in a band with those guys now. We started in '94. So figure out how many years that is. But yeah, so it's great. It's a lot of fun. Just kind of excuse to make a whole lot of noise and blow off steam every now and again.
Absolutely. Nothing like that. What kind of music do you play? Is it classical trained? Is it Latin rumba?
Yeah, exactly. We're a Latin rumba band with Canadian folk influences.
Yes. Do you play the pan flute, or is that the
ocarina, the nose flute, or whatever? We are a punk rock band. We just make a whole lot of noise.
Very good. Is that the name? Make a whole lot of noise. That would be a great name or at least a song. Make a lot of noise.
It should be.
What is the name of your band?
We're the Danzas.
That's right. I think I'm a member of the fan club, the Danzas. Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, and is that in honor of Tony Danza?
Yes, it is.
Yes, very good. Now who's the boss?
We gotta pass the torch around every night. Just whoever wants it that day gets to be the boss.
Gets to be the boss. Very cool, man. I can't claim a band to my my history there, but that's cool that you guys still play.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a matter of fact, after this, shoot me your address. So I can send you some stickers and a t-shirt.
Absolutely. Yeah. Woohoo!
Sure.
Yay. And I'll tell you what, also the 100th person to like and comment on this full episode will get a exclusive thank you from Tim and myself. So there we go.
I'm signing up right now. I want to be that person.
Wait, click 99. Click. Well, I want to show you something too. Before we continue to talking, this is prepare yourself for a virtual trip down memory lane.
All right,
I'm gonna see if I can get this to work, and I just take a look at that. Okay, this house right here. This is Golf Club Drive, Heritage Village.
Yes. So
now, this was my old house.
Yep.
They added a whole extra section to it. This was just now, the first thing you notice how small this looks. I thought this was a lot bigger than I thought. This hill was bigger. The bus stop for the school was right over here. And look at that. Now,
this is crazy. You did this. This is awesome.
We're gonna go up Golf Club Drive, and man, talk about bringing up some memories. I remember riding my bike up this.
I was so jealous of you after school. You got to go right to your house. We had to walk up the hill.
And also I got to hang out in my house until the bus arrived.
That's right.
Remember the time? Were you there when we kept? I think you were with me on this. We kept calling into that radio station. It was like the 12th caller.
Yes.
And we kept calling. We kept hitting redial, and we'd never get it. It was Q107. I remember because the guy would you hit it, you go Q107, and then right when we hit redial, the guy goes Q107. Good morning, and right then the bus pulled up, and I froze, and I went, I got to go to school. Click.
Yeah, no, I do totally remember that.
That was. I was so mad. And I think you were mad at me. Like you should have missed the bus, man. You got to be on the thing. Oh, I think that I had a crush on this girl, Heather Shillito, at this house here. Her brother was kind of. Do you remember her brother Reed?
Oh wait, yes I do. I absolutely do. I can see her face.
Yep, and I think they were at this house right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was we kept going up there. Do you remember Tom Dalton?
Oh, the name sounds.
Tom Dalton. He lived kind of over here, and he was the one. I remember one night Halloween when you and I tried to go. We tried to go back out in different costumes.
Yes,
for a second run, and but there the middle school kids that were deemed too old to trick or treat would try to chase us and steal our candy. So one year, I think you were with us because Brian Benoit was with us. I don't know if John Oliver was with us, but Brian was with us.
I don't know if
it was you, me, Brian, and Tom Dalton. But Tom, hey, there he is.
Shout out to Brian Benoit right there.
Shout out to Brian Benoit. Not pronounced Benoit. I remember one of the classic things I ever heard him say is we're watching Miami Vice. I was having a sleepover at his house, and two things. One, we did the atomic fireball challenge where we both put atomic fireball in our mouths and we had a bowl of ice cream, and we had to see who could deal with it the longest. And I remember I remember when the new Snake Eyes came out for G.I. Joe, and he kept begging his mom, "Mom, can I have new Snake Eyes, please? Can I have new Snake?" And this was around the time that the Glow Wrestling show was on. Remember Glow?
I used to love that show. Gorgeous wrestling.
Conspiracy theory. My dad thought this too, is because he put this in my head. Okay. I think Brian's mom was Nanichka, the pretend Russian wrestler, because they looked very similar. Okay. Hang on a second. Let me pull up.
I could actually do that. I never made the connection, but
I mean, we thought that she Nanochka Glow.
Oh, I'm dying.
All right, tell me if you tell me.
And
I don't have a picture of Brian's mom, but
didn't
you
they
tell
have,
me.
Russian cats too? Didn't Brian have Russian cats?
He did. Is that Brian's mom or what?
Oh yeah, it is.
Right.
Oh, Mrs. Benoit all over.
I think that's Mrs. Benoit.
That's hysterical.
I think she was. That's not her. This was before. No, that's Brigitte Nielsen. But yeah, I think that we had the suspicion that she was moonlighting as a professional wrestler. So we gotta get Brian out here sometime and confirm.
Absolutely,
that the dude was there or not. So here we are. Oh, let me finish the Tom Dalton story.
Yeah, please.
So, and you stop me if you were part of this or not. So the older kids would chase us on their bikes, but we would just run into the woods. They couldn't follow us, or we'd run behind houses, and we'd finally get to one of our houses. But that year, Tom Dalton dressed as a mummy, and he had this really elaborate mummy costume.
Okay.
So much so that because his mom used all these like ace bandages and stuff, and he was all wrapped up. But the problem was his legs. He could only walk like this, so he would only shuffle like this. And I always remember Tom Dalton because when he was real little, I guess he stuck his finger in a light socket and his tongue.
Oh, that's right.
So he had like a big kind of lump on part of his lips. And anyway, so poor Tom Dalton, we're all running away from the middle school kids, and we look back, and Tom, of course, we had a huge haul. We hit we were strategic. It was almost like we had a map, and we're like, okay, if we hit Golf Club Drive and we go to Beaver Dam, we go over here. And we all had these pillowcases full of candy, and we were all walking like, yeah. And then the middle school kids show up, we take off running, and we turn back and I hear Tom. And then Tom is shuffling like this, like, oh, guys, wait on. So they got him, but I don't know I think we went and got David. David was always the equalizer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In those situations. I remember David, we're getting picked on, and one guy, one middle school kid pulled out like a ninja star. Like we were supposed to be intimidated by the ninja star. Yeah. And what are you gonna do? Good luck throwing that thing. All right. Oh, okay, ninja man. Yeah. And then all of us, John Oliver disappeared. He took off. We thought, oh yeah, great to stay behind us there. Great to stay with your friends there, John. He took off. But then I think David had a broken leg or twisted leg, but all of a sudden he just came up the hill with his crutches ready to regulate.
Yeah, he was a tall, thin kid, like a buzz cut, like very military. Like he was daunting. He struck fear in your heart.
He grew up. He was in the era where like movies like Red Dawn and Platoon and all these movies that came out were very, very pro-military. And from my understanding, because my mom is very close with Mrs. Oliver still.
Oh yeah, you said that's amazing.
He actually, my understanding, he went into the Secret Service, or the Special Forces.
Okay.
So he became exactly what he was aspiring to be, and he probably has protected our country in ways that he can't even tell us.
I believe it. 100%. That was him all the way.
So let me take you up here. I'm going to show you something.
This is amazing.
So here we go, going up Golf Club. This was my route when I would ride my old Team Murray bike.
Yeah.
And you can already kind of see coming up. You can see that red. There's Benoit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But this house, right?
Yep.
Let me go one more. That person's house right there.
There you go. That's it.
And look, 15467. Does that number remind you anything?
I believe that's correct.
Look at that.
I think right where the asphalt changes color there, I think that was the border.
Yeah.
For Pasportos, you had to get through into the cul-de-sac.
That's right. Yep. This is it right here.
Yep.
Pasportos. And they've changed the mailboxes, but I don't know if you remember when the mailboxes used to have these big, thick gold numbers on them.
Yes, I remember that.
And I one time we were playing one of the stupid games. We're probably playing the fart cycles, where it was like the Tron light cycles, but you farted instead, and it was supposed to make this gas. And then the commercial, the Lanacane witch commercial, we would go Lanacane. Yeah, we got farted on. So we're playing that, and my dumbass is riding around with no shirt on. I mean, this is 1983, 1984.
Yeah.
We're riding around. Maybe I've got shoes on. Maybe I'm barefoot. Short shorts, no shirt. We're just like no helmet, nothing. I mean, we're just like knuckleheads. And I remember riding around, and I was trying to do something cool, like watch this. And I look back, and you guys are all of a sudden your eyes got this big, and I was like, what? And I turned around and went boom right into somebody's mailbox. I went over, the bike went under, and on my chest in reverse was the numbers of the mailbox. And as much as I wanted to cry, you guys laughed so much that it was like it turned into like a funny thing. So yeah, there's you. This is where the Pasportos border was.
Yep.
How many times we got grass over the border? Maybe we missed our calling.
I think we did.
Yeah, we could have.
It's never too late.
The golf. Yeah. Hey, you know what? All right, Barry Seal. We'll let's get it.
Oh, this is so funny. Yeah, there's Oliver's and the Caraways to the left there. You remember Ashley Caraway? She was the younger.
Yeah, poor Ashley Caraway. She walked in on Brian Moon and John one time. I think she was traumatized.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
I always thought these houses were bigger.
Me too. They're really like just big, just rectangles.
Like look at here's Brian's house. I always thought his driveway was like a mountain.
Yeah, he was top of a mountain. I know exactly what you mean. Do you remember the house between mine and Brian? There was a guy named Harvey who lived there, and like every summer he had I don't know if he was divorced or it was his niece, but there was a girl, I think her name was like Sharon or Shauna, but she would come up, and then every summer she would develop a crush on someone else new from the neighborhood. So like one summer it was you, one summer it was John, one summer it was me. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Crazy.
That was of course back then I was oblivious. I had like 6 girls into me, and I didn't care. My crush was on Tila from He-Man. I was in love with a cartoon.
So for some reason, He-Man just came up in conversation, and I never think of He-Man without thinking of you. Like you indoctrinated me. 2 things. Well, actually 3 things. A ton of things, but 3 that come to mind. He-Man.
Yep.
Knight Rider.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. First episodes I saw Knight Rider with you, and I associated forever. And Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes. Yes.
And I remember that was the first movie that I ever thought, I want to be that. I want to be Indiana Jones.
Yes.
I remember running around the woods just outside your house doing singing the song and wanting to be Indiana Jones.
Because like I'd say, I'd tell it, we'd go this, and again, this is let me pull this back up to illustrate it. But back when we were growing up, none of the back behind Montclair was developed.
Yeah.
And it was all, let me pull out a little bit.
Okay.
Nice. Oh, okay. By the way, all right, real quick, can you name pop quiz? You ready?
Oh man.
In Montclair, there were 3 beaches. Can you name the 3 beaches? And when I say beaches, I mean very loosely, because to us, to little kids, there were beaches, but they were really just like a plot of land where they just put some sand next to the lake. All right, can you name the 3 beaches?
Wasn't there a West Beach? Or like a
West Beach is one.
West Beach, I think it's the only one I can remember.
The one that was closest to us was 2 words.
No, I got nothing.
I'll give you a hint. There was West Beach. There was Dolphin Beach. Dolphin Beach was the biggest. And to illustrate, look, this is Dolphin Beach. They just dumped a bunch of sand. Now,
that was like a building lot. Never finished.
Conspiracy theories are flying because they call it now Beaver Landing. But it was Beaver Dam Beach when we were growing up. They called it Beaver Dam, but now it's called Beaver Landing for some reason. Yep, and I mean this was the beach right there. And to us, of course, it was like going to the beach. It was like, hey, what a great thing. And it was really just a plot of land.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's crazy.
Speaking of island, Turtle Island. Oh, I meant to keep sharing. Hang on. The Turtle Island was in the back of Prince William Park, which was behind where we lived.
Yeah.
But now it's like all this development. So, moment of silence for Turtle Island.
Yeah. Holy
I think
cow.
it got eaten up.
Boy, I'm glad you found it.
Still alive somewhere in here. I don't know.
This is really something. I've never actually gone through it.
This is crazy because there's.
Wow.
Yeah, look, and then it's been a long. They went in and developed all of that land where we used to ride around and try to shoot at each other. But I do remember when we first found Turtle Island, we named it Turtle Island because we found a big giant turtle there, and the island. It was basically just like a little splash of land in the middle of the lake or the middle of the river, or it's probably a creek. Really by size. And I think I said something like, I don't know if I said we had to get across, but like we had to find a way across, and there was this fallen tree, and we had to shimmy across the tree to get to it. And somebody, was it you? No, I don't think it was you. Somebody tried to swing across, and they fell in the water. No,
that wasn't me.
No, it was. I don't think it was you because we would keep going back. But what was so stupid was there was this like shallow part you could just walk across, but we had to be adventurers.
Yeah, you gotta
go across the log and do all this crazy stuff.
It's no fun unless there's a fear of death.
Yeah, exactly. So what has been your fondest memory of the Montclair days?
Oh man, there are so many. Cruising around on our bikes, like that was just endless days. I was telling somebody just recently in the summer like this, that when it starts to get dark, it gets dark around 9:00. And I used to be so bummed because we'd be outside and the streetlights would come on, so you'd have to go home. But it was 9:00 and I missed Knight Rider.
Yep.
Knight Rider was on like Friday nights at 8 or something. Yep. But just like riding bikes or into the woods. Do you remember behind your house there was there was a big white house that we used to call a Victorian?
Okay, I think so. Yeah,
it was like a big model home.
Yes, yeah, model. I remember the model home.
Yeah, but kind of behind that, like if you went up the direction up Golf Club Drive, there was like this huge like plot of land, and there was this giant mound of dirt that had like a bump on it. We used to do these just run up the top and then jump off.
Yes,
so many like just memories of that, just flying through the air and then just wiping out and crashing and destroying.
Yeah, I mean, like the stuff that every time I see like these stunt bikers, these like, and usually the biker fails. Yeah, that was us. That was our dumbasses doing like, and we would get some serious air too.
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
And Brian was the one that had the mongoose, and I think he was able to get some serious air. He had the red mongoose. I had I had a good bike too, but I got to tell you, I had some serious bike envy. And this is something that I guess, I've never gone to I've never done this, talked about this as like therapy or anything, but I love my dad to pieces. My dad comes up with great ideas, but usually he'll have an idea, but then someone else will perfect it.
Yeah.
My dad had this idea for a camouflage bike, and he was real excited. So he hand painted it, but he got the wrong colors. And it was like neon green.
Yeah,
and it was all, it looked like if somebody on acid, and maybe that's probably part of the thing, maybe that's why. But then your dad was like, if you use spray paint, he made it look like an actual camouflage bike, like a BDUs and such. Yeah, and I remember going, man, your bike looks better than me. I mean, it was solely cool. But do you remember your camouflage bike?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the kind of stuff my dad would get into. Like he gets real detailed, like does a lot of sketches and stuff. That's absolutely the kind of stuff that he gets into.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Oliver's across the street, they had a huge station wagon?
Yeah.
And I used to call him Ollie. I can't remember what his first name was.
Yeah, Mr. Oliver was Ollie.
Yeah. but he took it to the motor pool on base and got it painted camouflage. So he had an actual camouflage, like official military station wagon.
That's awesome. We should have taken that to King's Dominion.
Oh, for sure. I remember Kathy used to babysit everybody, the Oliver's sister. But she was one time I heard her talking on the phone or something, that she was gonna come down. She's gonna pick somebody up. I guess she just got her license. She was gonna pick somebody up in a camouflage tank or a silver Rolls Royce. They had that convertible Volkswagen.
Yeah. That was cool. Kathy Oliver. Let's talk about Kathy, buddy.
Let's get into it.
All right, yeah, you had a mad crush on her, didn't you?
Oh, such a crush. She is the bar by which so many women have been judged over the years.
Bless her heart. She kind of it not in appearance, but almost in attitude. She's kind of like the older sister in that 70s show a little bit, and one of the first women I've seen naked.
Okay, I want to hear this story.
Okay, now. And of course, it's so sad that it happened to me and not you, because you're the one with the crush. But like, of course, I was a dumbass back then. I was like, that shit didn't interest me. It was more like G.I. Joe's on, except Tila. If I saw Tila naked on He-Man, I would have flipped out. Yeah. So like, I was spending the night at John's, and Kathy was babysitting both of us. Of course. Immediately, I don't know where David was. David wasn't there. It was just John, myself, and Kathy. And she invited her boyfriend, Robert Smith or whatever, from The Cure. I actually, he looked like, in my memory, he looked like Billy Joe from Green Day.
Okay.
Okay. But more of a prick, because I think he just did not want us to hang around.
Oh yeah.
And so. Of course, what do little brothers do, and little brothers' friends? We were assholes. We would fuck around with them. We'd like, you guys are making it. And we had gone to bed, and they were downstairs. You know how like the Olivers had their basement. Their basement was kind of like a TV room, and they had this long couch. Well, we got up and we said, let's go scare them.
Oh.
So we go and we creep down. We're creeping down the stairs, and I look, and they're the two of them. Now this must have been post coitus, but she's laying there full naked, butt naked on the couch, and he's behind. He's probably naked too, but I just remember going like this, and then John's like grabbing me, like, come on. I'm like, no, what? And just that image just was burned in my mind, and I was just like,
I'm
dude.
Sure.
And I think that has influenced my future choice of women for the rest of my life. Was like, oh yeah, man,
absolutely.
Because I like my women kind of slutty, man. I got to tell you.
Right on. She was just the coolest too. Yeah. Like she would come over like in babysit. She was just across the cul-de-sac. She would come over and bring records, and she would just. My parents had this big. It was like one of those console stereos. It was like to a piece of furniture, but it would get so damn loud. I mean, it was probably not as loud as I remember it being, just because but you would just crank it up, just blast the stray cats and dance around living. Like, she was the coolest.
She was so cool, dude. We didn't deserve to have a cool John didn't deserve to have a cool older brother and older sister like them. They were always funny too, like that they would joke around with each other and stuff. And I always remember John would get upset. John was always the one to start crying about something. And he was
younger than us too.
He was 6 years old, and we were all like 8 and 9.
Yeah.
So of course, we treated him like he was 8 and 9. So no wonder you would get to a point where it's like,
Yeah, absolutely.
But then he would always go run in his house, and then he'd come out with something that was delicious and eat it in front of us. Like I remember he came out.
He used to do that.
Well, and I remember he used to make bologna boats.
Yeah. Oh,
that was like talk about, we didn't know we were eating struggle food back in those days, because it was awesome. For those of you who don't know, a bologna boat is you take a slice of bologna and you put a piece of government cheese on top. You microwave it for, I think, 10 seconds, something like that. You microwave it for just a little bit, and the bologna would fold and the cheese would melt, so it'd become this little bologna boat.
Yep.
And we used to eat those things. Do you remember? Okay, Transformers were big with us.
Yeah.
So we in Transformers, the way that works is the robots have their fuel is these things called Energon cubes.
Yes.
John's mom had a case of sugar cubes that she used for her tea.
Yes.
John swiped the whole box from the cabinet, brought it downstairs, and we were using it for Energon cubes as we played Transformers. Well, it's sugar. And, you put sugar with a bunch of kids, what's going to happen? We're going to start eating the
shit. Just ham sandwich all over the place.
So for about like 40 minutes, we're climbing the walls. I mean, we're just flipping out. And then, like, John's mom came home, and she came downstairs to check on us, and we're all like, we're like junkies coming down from a high.
Yep.
Fun stuff, man.
Oh. His mom used to play the piano too. Just every now and again, she would just come downstairs. Like, she was a real, like, slender, unassuming woman. You wouldn't think, but she would just come downstairs and just rock this rockabilly piano, and it was amazing. I have so many fond memories of the Olivers. That's awesome that your mom keeps in touch with them.
Yeah, in fact, I might see if I could bring her on the show sometime, and maybe John.
I
hear John is a mechanic.
Okay.
Like he's like a chief mechanic and wherever they're living, I think South Carolina or something. And he's doing great. He probably still like, you guys made me cry all the time. I got to tell you. Okay, here's a cool story though.
Okay, what do you got?
Is after we had all moved, they stayed.
Yeah,
but we all moved away, and there were these kids in the neighborhood that started picking on him.
Okay.
And like there were bigger kids, but like John no longer, and David was gone, and John would always get picked on, and we came to visit. But now I'm 13 years old and a little bit bigger than I was back then. And so John, the kids were trying to harass John, and I went with him, and I hid behind his house. And the kids came running up to him like, "Hey, John, what's going on?" And I just stepped out from behind the house, and they went. they pulled like this Homer Simpson, into
the bush. Yeah. Yep.
So that was a cool moment. But
that's hysterical.
Yeah, man, it seems like so long ago, but also seems like.
Oh.
Do you feel like think about today, like growing up back then versus today, and you have a very awesome daughter who is starting college.
Next week we're driving her up to school.
How you feeling about that, brother?
Feeling a little not the spring chicken I thought I was 2 weeks ago. Every day it's a little bit more. I'm feeling the weight.
Yes. But are you excited though?
Oh yeah, very excited. She's stoked, and it's fun to see that kind of stuff through her eyes. Like you remember how excited you were, you know what I mean? And then it's very cool.
That's awesome. And what are her interests? And let me ask you this too: is she anything like her dad?
In some ways, luckily she got her smarts from her mom. She's a very smart kid. But she's very creative. She likes to draw. She likes to dance. She's going to school for environmental sciences.
Oh wow!
So, she's interested in geology and just kind of exploring that whole area.
That's awesome. There you go.
Cool. And she's going to Bryn Mawr, and they have a good program there that's out by Philadelphia, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
Very nice.
And she's super excited. Like I said, like there's going to be some adjustment. It hasn't quite hit me yet, but. Next week, we'll see.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see who gets home. Like, is she going to get homesick, or are you going to be more, my baby girl?
Right now, I'm kind of teasing her, like, "Oh, you'll be homesick. But I know on the way back, I'll be like, "Oh no, it's going to hit me first." I'm like, exactly. Yeah.
How different was her childhood to ours? Do you think?
Oh, very different. Like I mean, since like, let's say 6th grade, like she's had a cell phone. Like, it's so weird to text her at school. Like, do you remember like going to school and it was like your parents just didn't exist for 8 hours?
Exactly.
Like, I have no idea what my mom did for 8 hours. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's so just like in constant contact and weirdest thing, I don't know if all kids are like this, but she doesn't want to drive. She has no interest in learning how to drive, doesn't want to drive. I remember like the day I turned 16, I was at the DMV like pounding on the door. Like I couldn't wait.
I need my wheels, man.
Yeah. But just like little stuff like that and like the technology is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like her school, they issued laptops, so Chromebooks.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Can you imagine what kind of trouble you and I would get into if we had Chromebooks in our school at John F. Patty?
Thank God we did. And there would be a record of it too. That's what I would terrify.
Yeah. I actually think we were born at the right time to keep us out of trouble, man. Because I mean, we had to go outside to find stuff to do. Exactly. But if we were inside, I mean, on a rainy day, I mean, we had the afternoon cartoons. We did have our video games, our Atari, ColecoVisions, and
I still have my Atari. I think I may have a couple of your games.
Really?
Yeah, I actually didn't think of that. I should go downstairs and find them. But I think I have like your Frogger and Pitfall.
Oh, nice.
I have some of the Oliver's games. Like all that stuff ended up in a big box that I've just been carrying around with me since Montclair.
Well, I think there's a statute of limitations where it automatically becomes yours. I did though is I recently got actually my dad got this for me as a gift. Was this thing it's like a little flash little Fire Stick kind of thing. You plug into the HDMI port on a TV, and it's got all games from like the 90s and 80s.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah,
and you could you go in, you select, okay, do I want Atari? Do I want Nintendo? Do I want an arcade version? And I was just going through all kinds of different nostalgia. I remember how heartbroken I was when I got Pac-Man for the Atari, expecting it to be like Pac-Man in the arcade, and instead it was this like generic like dang 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 dang.
I think I'm the one weirdo who actually likes the Atari Pac-Man better.
Really?
I actually like the plain Jane simple Atari. For a while, I was taking my Atari up to college, and we would have Pac-Man tournaments.
Oh, cool!
And I didn't realize this, but after you get past like level 600, there's a pattern you can do, and you can just win every time. So it becomes an endurance race. Basically, your hand cramps up holding the joystick, and you're like folded over on the chair, and it's just so painful.
6 a.m. the next day, and you haven't peed, and you're like,
yeah, we would literally go for like 10 hours. And like you put the high score on the wall, and then somebody else would spend 12 hours and beat it.
Oh, that's so cool, man. Yeah. That's so cool. How was college life for you?
Very cool. Actually went to Clarion, which is a school here, Central PA, which, funny enough, that's where my parents met.
Wow.
So I had a philosophy professor who remembered my mom and where she sat in his class.
So you had to sit there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came up to, I introduced myself. I think Dr. Takei, I think was his name.
Oh.
So I said, hey, my mom noticed your name on my class schedule, and she thought she was like, oh yeah, I remember her. Absolutely. But yeah, it was very cool, small school, Central PA.
Good thing Takei wasn't like, I remember her. Oh, gee. Yeah, she was all trouble, man. Yeah, good luck passing my class.
Yeah, seriously. I can tell you some stories.
Yeah, oh, you think your mom's a saint? Well, let me tell you about after the homecoming.
The untold story.
Yeah.
Well, let's flip this here for a second. I'm going to ask you some questions.
All right, hit me.
So what happened at Heritage Village after Golf Club Drive, etc.? Where did you end up? Like, where did you go?
Well, funny thing, my next stop was Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I also something about PA, just kind of drafting all the Montclair kids. My folks were getting ready to split up. I kind of knew it was going to happen, but like, because they were thinking about splitting up when we were living in Montclair, and that was a whole weird thing because, like, and this gets into the mental health stuff, but I always feel like a divorce is not as bad on a kid as a bad marriage.
Oh, that's true.
And the reason I say that is when my parents were together, they really weren't together.
Yeah.
Like I could tell that there was like, I remember one time asking them, and I said, "How come you guys don't kiss like other parents do?" And because I would see the Olivers, and they weren't like Kathy Oliver, riding the pony there. But she that's such a shame that I got to see that and you didn't. But anyways, if I could just mentally project that image to you, dude, I'll try it. Maybe someday they'll have that technology. But so no, but like I asked my mom and dad, like, how come you guys don't kiss like other parents do? And I don't know if you remember Sean Abair.
Oh, that name is super familiar.
He kind of looked like Cornholio, but he was a good guy though. Like he was his parents were very, very well off. Like they were in one of the big houses and they had all the new stuff and but he had like the beavish hair.
Yes.
I remember that. But his parents were very intimate and like always hugging and kissing. Again, not excessive, but like that. And I asked my parents, like, how come they didn't? They just looked at each other, and that's when they told me that they were thinking about dad living in an apartment. Whatever. Well, fast forward, we moved to Philadelphia, and then like a month into that, my mom sits me down and says she's going to move to Florida, and she's going to live with her mom, with my grandmother, and that they were divorcing. And it's one of those things where like it's always kind of affected me. It did kind of put this a bit of like abandonment fear in me a little bit, but it was one of those things where I knew it was the right thing for both of them. And like forcing them to stay together for my behalf was just making things worse and worse on me, because I could tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's funny. My wife and I actually split up 3 years ago, so it's interesting to hear you say these things. You're reflecting back and hearing about it, because I'm seeing a lot of that mirrored in my daughter and the way we talk through things and stuff. But she has the very same feelings.
And I'm sorry about that, but actually, I also say congratulations, because, and again, it's not a slant, like, and that's one of the cool things too, is my mom and dad, they were never like enemies. It was never, it was never. Now, I love them both, and they respected that. They both remarried, and the people that they remarried, like, I said you could tell that they weren't right for each other.
Yeah.
Both of who they remarried, I could tell the moment I met them. Like that's the right person. And my mom went through some creeps for a while too, but I was kind of the litmus test. Like I'd come visit, and she'd introduce me to her new boyfriend, and I'd be like, "Hey, dude," and they would try a bunch of tryhards, and he had some really. There's one dude, we called him Colonel Mustard, because he had this mustache. And he must have thought it was cool, but I thought it was the weirdest, stupidest thing.
Yeah.
He had the little thing kind of curled up like this.
All the fingers, yeah.
Yeah, and so I called him Colonel Mustard, and he was not right for her. But I ended up staying with my dad. My mom moved to Florida, and I stayed in Philadelphia with my dad.
Okay.
And now, Officer and a Gentleman had been out for about almost 4 years. Top Gun had just come out. My dad is a single lieutenant commander in the Navy in Philadelphia, newly single.
Yeah.
My dad was knee deep in it. Like and I had granted, Kathy Oliver, thumbs up, but I had some of the hottest babysitters.
Oh.
And friends of my dad would come over, and it was like, who needs Playboy? Like it's like, holy cow. So my dad was knee deep in it for about a year and a half. It was just like Bachelor City. The two of us were bachelors and all that. And
your dad is a cool guy, man. I absolutely believe that.
He is. He chip off the old block. The funniest thing about my dad, now 77, you haven't experienced hilarity until you've heard a 77-year-old man make an 8-year-old cry on Fortnite. My dad plays Fortnite.
Oh, I love Fortnite. I play Fortnite 24/7. Yeah.
Well, you might have occasionally did a team of 4 with my dad.
Okay.
And what's so funny because he plays like a sniper. He's a camper, and he makes no bones about camping. And he will camp. He will eat chili like camping as much as he can. But he would get we would get on a 4-person thing, and these kids would get on with us. And one kid was like, "So where do you guys go to school?" And he goes, "School of Hard Knocks, kid." And he would just talk shit.
I could hear that.
And here it is, the 77-year-old guy would just talk shit to these little kids, and it's so funny. And you'd sit there and he'd scream, tell your mom I said hi. He goes, "I'm gonna get my mom." Yeah, tell her I said hi. Just that kind of shit. And it's so funny because he was terrible, but except he would get these how the hell did it happen shots. There was one time where this guy, this was his first victory royale. He's the final 2, and this guy got these. It was final 3, and the 2 guys did the classic, building up, shooting at each other, building up. Dad's down at the bottom in the bush, and all he's got is dynamite, or he's got the thing. And so they're like, and the guy kills the one guy, and the other guy's looking for Dad, and Dad's down in the bush like this, and he's thinking how am I going to do this? And he realizes, I got dynamite. He blows up the tower that they had built, and all of a sudden he sees plap, victory royale. And
that's hysterical.
And he's like, woohoo! And those guys were so upset. Now, my dad, Dad, he needs to, he's retired Navy.
Okay.
He was Navy. He retired as Navy captain.
Okay.
Then, he had actually worked for NATO for a long time, for a while. This is what got us to Virginia Beach. Is he was working at NATO. Then he got out. Then he was working for General Dynamics. This is and then he got out and he finally just fully retired and just started doing all the stuff that you and I would do if we were retired, play video games. He actually plays guitar way better than I do. He's actually got a couple axes.
Very
cool. He started just building stuff. He built a working cannon that shoots golf balls.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Minecraft?
Kinda.
Well, he and I built. I'm gonna see if I can. Actually, it's right over there, but I've got green screen, so I don't want to mess with it. Yeah, I don't know if I've actually hurt my camera, but we built a robot together, a Mr. Creeper robot.
Okay.
That's a creeper from the game, the green little guys that go around. He bought a boat and then sold the boat because he never used it, and just started getting into all kinds of cool stuff. And then I introduced him to 3D printing.
Okay.
And he's like a mad scientist with that now. He's 3D printing everything. And it's so funny cool. Too, because he'll get in arguments with my stepmom. She's like, all right, we gotta get a new lawn chair because the thing broke. And Dad's like, stop. I'll just 3D print it. And he'll spend 3 days trying to get the exact measurements for this one little piece for this chair. And finally he'll get it, he'll put it on, and then snap, it breaks, and they're like, all right, we got to buy it. But you got to go through the 3D printing thing. Yeah. The other thing, he's got to stop watching so much political news. He's very now again, I'm very middle of the road with a lot of stuff. He gets his own echo chamber.
Jeez.
But it's a good sign because he recently had a heart attack, and he was really touch and go there for all. He had back surgery and then had a heart attack while he was having back surgery.
Okay.
But if you're going to have a heart attack, that's the place to have it.
Yeah.
And they put in a stent and all this stuff. And so he was very kind of morbid for a little while. I don't know. And then all of a sudden he starts bitching about the government. And I'm like, good to have you back, Dad.
Okay.
That's when I knew he was feeling better, when he starts bitching about the government. So good for him. Go fight the fight. Good fight.
This is gonna sound stupid. Just it reminded me when we were talking about gaming with your dad. Do you remember we used to play? I think it was called Ultima.
Yes.
Okay. Every video game character, any game character that you have to like create a name for, an avatar for, I have used Intrepid for every character I've ever had because your dad used Intrepid. That's my
really.
That's my
he'll love
preference. Yeah,
he'll love to hear that. In fact, not only that, the creator of the game, I'm going to try to get him on the podcast. But he and I have gone back and forth on emails. Richard Garriott,
get out of here, really?
The Lord British himself. It was really cool.
British, yes.
And what's kind of interesting too, and to out corny your corniness, I actually like he came out with an Ultima 4. They kind of had this whole thing about virtues and stuff, and that actually came out at the time my parents split up, and I started kind of following like a lot of the not like ooh, like like that, but just kind of keeping in mind the importance of being honest and showing valor and all that kind of stuff. And so I sent him a message saying, hey, that kind of got me through a dark time. And he went, greetings, fellow traveler. And he ripped this whole thing. And I was just like, that's the coolest thing ever. And so, yeah, I might get him on. He ended up doing like going in space, doing like a submarine thing, not the Titanic. He didn't do that, but
that's a whole other.
No, but he's gotten involved in a lot of cool stuff, so I might bring him on, and if he's willing to do it. But
yeah,
but I remember Ultima and Intrepid. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember I remember playing Ultima, the Ultima 3, where you had the 4 guys, and didn't we try to make Ultima like realistic, like outside?
Yes, I think we did. We had some sort of, I can't remember exactly the rules, but absolutely, yeah. It was that behind your house there was like 2 thickets of wood sort of that you could like, one was like an island that you sailed to, and like other one you had to travel between the 2, and absolutely.
All right, speaking of which, do you remember run before you see the whites of their eyes? This was a game we started playing when it would get dark, and they let us stay outside. We would go right there, the road that would come up from Nob Hill.
Yeah,
is we would see how far we could get into the street before a car would come. But we had to get into the woods before the headlights.
Well, yes, I do remember that. Wow, that's jogging some serious memories. Like I can see it as you're talking about it. Like it's just unfolding, and it's wow.
Well, if you ever get a chance to drive through Montclair, you'll one thing that'll surprise you is how not so steep Nob Hill really is.
Oh,
I always thought Nob Hill was this
it's straight up. Yeah,
this. It's like this. It's not much at all. And I, of course, I always thought, because we would ride this is again going back to a simpler time. We would ride our bikes to 7-Eleven, get a Slurpee, get some candy, ride our bikes back, no helmet, nothing, and it was just that how it is. And then now it's like nowadays, kids there's play dates. Kids have to have the helmets. Do you and kind of talking back about your daughter, it's like maybe part of the reason we wanted to get driving so quickly was we knew that was our ticket out.
Oh yeah.
Whereas now screens, people can go anywhere from home, like virtually. Like there's no need to travel.
Yeah, no, I 100% believe that. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. I do pity what this world would be if we had Chromebooks back then.
Oh yeah. Man.
But that's cool. Ultima. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was one of the coolest things that I ever saw at the time. Well, ever was he had tape drive. Wasn't it Atari?
He had a reel to reel.
Yeah, but like a cassette drive. I remember some. Yes, that was awesome. Like a cassette drive you could play Q*bert off of a cassette.
But you had to wait it felt like an hour, but it was probably like 5 minutes, or probably it was like 3 minutes. But to us, it felt like an hour. You had to put the tape in, and we had the Atari 800, and you had to put the tape in and let it load. And Snooper Troops. Snooper Troops was the game, the murder mystery. It wasn't a murder mystery, but it was a mystery game, and you had to go and it was like stick figure. You had these suspects, and there were stick figures, and you had to collect all the clues.
Okay, I don't remember that one, but
one of them, you had to sneak into people's houses, and you were just this little dot. And if they came home, but if you pressed this one button, you would hop back into the Snoop mobile and take off. and you and I would play this, and we're trying to figure it out. And you had the book, and we're looking, and you told me to or you were controlling the guy, and we were trying to figure stuff out, and then I bumped the keyboard or something, and all of a sudden it said, "Returning to the Snoopmobile," and you went like this. You went, "Returning to the Snoopmobile," like. And it was like a Danger Mouse Penfold moment where it was like I just totally wrecked the whole investigation by accident, by not sitting still. This is also what's historic about us talking right now is this is also a 40-year sequel to our first radio show that you and I did together.
Yes,
on tape.
Do you have this tape?
It's erased. No, it's gone.
Oh, okay.
Now, what's funny is because it was put in a box of tapes, and my mom, she taught middle school, so she she had she was using them for her kids to record their own like radio kind of thing. Well, one day the kids decided to listen to what was on the tapes before they recorded over it, and they got to hear the diarrhea song.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, and what was great about this is like I had to get the background vocals. Like I recorded the background to it and then played that while I sung the lyrics to the diarrhea song. So it was like this was like the cheap version of laying down track. And I did, and like they pressed play, and all of a sudden they heard, "When you're walking down the street and you feel a little heat, diarrhea, diarrhea. When you're walking down the road and you feel a heavy load, diarrhea to the max." And so they come back. They didn't get any work done. They come back to hearing this diarrhea song, which was our hit, and crying, laughing. I think we tried to make a radio version of "You Can't Do That" on television.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Do you remember? We made our own slime.
I do. Wasn't your mom involved in that? Like she had some sort of like we're in the kitchen. I remember trying to like we're putting flour and everything else in the
Yeah, we had some. They released the recipe for Nickelodeon slime, and so we tried to make it, and so I don't know. And the movies we made, 00 Negative, Haynes Pond,
Dr.
Claw, and what was funny was we had that cookie jar full of Oreos, and you were a security guard, and you got stabbed, and you're supposed to be dead, and the cookie jar's like right here, and they cut away from you, then they cut back to you, and you're sitting there eating the Oreo, like,
oh man! You remember the Heritage Village Post?
Yeah, the two issues.
Yeah.
The first issue was awesome. That was all me. What was so funny was like I did one issue, and then Heather Shillito's mom got wind of it, and she said, "Oh, there's a young guy running his own," because she was involved in the Montclair paper, the Montclair. So she did an article on me doing it. So all the kids in the neighborhood suddenly wanted to be on my staff.
Yeah, everybody, yep.
And I was like, yeah. So I went from one person to like 20 kids, and nobody. As soon as they got their picture in the paper, nobody wanted to do anything with it. And then I lost interest. I don't know. I think I decided to play Transformers again or something.
Yeah, probably so. That's hysterical.
Yeah, that must have been the beginning of my ADHD. Is like, you know what? Nah, I think I'm gonna go watch GoBots.
Squirrel.
Something.
Yeah,
squirrel. So yeah, man. So then I after that we went to Keflavik, Iceland.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad got stationed in Iceland, and we were there for 2 years. And that first year was rough because not only was there like a jet lag and all that, but the winter there's like only 2 hours of sunlight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And now it's the whole thing about Iceland, Greenland. You know, the Vikings. Greenland's really ice and Iceland's really green.
Yeah.
But there's not any trees. But that first year was rough because it was like my dad remarried, and you know I knew that she was right for him. But it was like a whole new thing for me, and that first year was rough psychologically on me.
Yeah.
And then the second year was awesome. you know, because I was on the wrestling team and I had a good group of friends, and that's when my gravitation to slightly slutty women was being activated.
Very cool.
And yeah, then we moved back to Virginia Beach. I graduated here, went to Virginia Military Institute.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah,
went to VMI, and that was talk about like a very sensitive, laid back, creative spirit going to military school. Yeah, not kind of an opposites kind of thing, but graduated there.
I remember
went out to the
uniform and like dress blues or whatever. It just didn't quite make sense in my head. Like I couldn't figure that out.
Like what is he, cosplay? What is this?
Okay, I get it, but I don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny story behind that, again, that's typical us guys thinking with our dicks. We're getting ready to apply. Everybody's applying to colleges everywhere, and all these people, they want to go to JMU, they want to go to George Mason, they want to go here. And if I had my head on straight, if I kind of had my head on straight, I would have chosen a decent, probably would have done community college for 2 years just to, if I was smart. Yeah. But this one girl I had a crush on, her current boyfriend, who she was having trouble with, and was flirting with me, and or at least I thought she was. She probably just liked vanilla ice cream, and I took it as, oh, okay. She was like, she liked her boyfriend because he went to VMI, or I thought that's what it was. So I said, I'm going to VMI.
Okay.
And so I applied, and I said, I'm going to VMI, and all that. And so I thought that was cool. And then I applied, and then my dad found out I wanted to go to VMI. And so he got all excited, like, my son's going to VMI. So nothing happened with Anna, but I had already signed up VMI. And now my dad's like, you can go anywhere you want, but it'd really make me proud if you went to VMI. Of course, what do you do?
Yeah.
Oh, no, Dad. No, I'm going to go to Elon and drink vodka.
Yeah, exactly.
So I ended up going. It was probably good for me that I did go, because it kind of rounded out a lot of, or kind of broke a lot of edges off that I needed broken off. It actually broke me down, but then I got to see who I really was, and in a way, a lot of times things that break you down. And I don't know if you had experience with this, where things break you down, but you kind of realize it puts in perspective what's really important.
Yeah. And
that was the first kind of growing pain of that. And then, I actually lived in California for about 5 years. Okay. And I was living on my own, the other side of the country from all my family. And just that struggle of trying to cut it on my own, I started realizing what was important, and I stopped living for who I felt other people wanted me to be, and started just being me. Yeah. And that, although physically I wish I could have the same body as I had when I was in my 20s. Mentally, I feel like I'm in a much better place.
That's awesome. Yeah. Stuff like that, it kind of defines you in a way. It kind of gives you can see where the boundaries are. Like, you figure it out, and it's really empowering, that kind of thing.
It is. Have you kind of felt? Have you had experiences like that? That kind of I hate to say this because I want to throw up in my mouth when I say this, because this is what my parents would always say. But those character building moments.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. My mom actually passed away in 2000.
Oh, no.
That was a real that wrecked me for a good couple years. But that's sort of exactly the same thing, where you're just sort of like feeling out, like, okay, here's where the walls are, and now I know how I'm going to get from here to there, that kind of thing. Like, I know exactly what you mean. That's awesome.
Yeah, grief is something weird too, because and that's shout out to Mrs. Emanuel. She was awesome.
Yeah.
I can ask you real quick though. Did you have an Aunt Bippy?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because she looked a lot like your mom.
Yes.
Because this tripped me out, because I was over at your house. I think I spent the night, and I was eating breakfast with you guys. And your Aunt Bippy came in. Yeah. Your Aunt Bippy came into the kitchen and was like, "Hey, that's my Aunt Bippy." And I'm like, "No, that's your mom." And you're like, no, that's not Bippy. And I'm like, and I like, is he fucking with me? What's going on? Like, is this like some like Sybil moment with your mom where she's like turning into somebody else and you just roll with it? But okay, so you did have an Aunt Bippy.
I had an Aunt Bippy, Aunt Giggy. I got an Aunt Ubi. All the women in my mom's family. My mom was the oldest of 6 kids, and there were 2 boys, but the 4 girls look a lot alike. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't crazy.
Yeah, no, you're not crazy.
So how long? And again, just kind of an open question. How long did it take you to get over your mom? And I know there's probably a party that never gets over, but like, how did that go with you handling that loss?
For a good, probably, like I said, a year, maybe 2, just kind of dealing with like grief and sort of sadness. And then really kind of, I started to get motivated, like to focus on things, like really focus on things in a way that I hadn't before.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in school at the time, like learning. I'm a web developer now, and that started then, like learning like programming and really getting into that sort of thing, that I could throw myself into those sort of things.
Cool.
And that was a really healing sort of thing. So that was probably, like I said, like a year of just kind of being just kind of a mess. And then maybe like another 3-4 years of just really kind of getting determined to do something, just anything, to not feel that way anymore. And again, like I said, like kind of feeling the walls and figuring out where you are and where the boundaries are. Again, like you said, I mean, it's something that you don't ever get over, but it was probably a good 7-8 years of just getting determined and figuring out like, okay, this is who I want to be, and this is who I am, and like those definitions, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like it does kind of define you, because I feel like sometimes I've felt there was a good chunk of my life where I was living for my parents' approval, and then sometimes things happen where you kind of have to, okay, who am I? And kind of you kind of and it can manifest in different ways.
Yeah, that's it. It's perfect. That's who am I? That's a great way to say it.
And are you and your former spouse, are you guys still in touch? You get along really good?
Yeah, we get along really well. Honestly, she lives not even a mile down the road.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I moved like up the street here, kind of stay in the same school district for my daughter, because being military kids, like I was never in the same school for more than 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So I really wanted her to have the experience of like having friends that she knew since kindergarten.
Does she primarily live with you, or is it just kind of a bounce back and forth? Or
during the school year, because after quarantine, we're primarily working from home now. Mm-hmm. So during the school year and over the summers or whatever, I can be here during the day if there are any emergencies or whatever. So she lives with me mostly during the week, and then she's weekends with her mom. Okay. And then it's kind of and then it's just sort of a free for all from there. Like a week here, a week there. It just depends.
Well, that's cool too, because so many breakups and divorces. There's so many where the spouses kind of get spiteful and they pull the kid apart. But when 2 spouses work together, for what's best for the kid, I think that's tremendous. And that's how dude, we went through a COVID, man, a lockdown. What the heck? How did you feel with that, man?
Man, that was a time. I think my daughter would have been in 9th grade or 10th grade. So if you can imagine, being all awkward and weird in high school and figuring all that, but then having to do that like from your house, it was just, again, like we were saying, like totally different experience from when we were kids. That was probably the biggest thing that I noticed from quarantine. But we just hold up and we're here, and it's just kind of, I'd probably drive 2 miles in a week. You know what I mean? Just because like the grocery store is right down there. My ex-wife's house is right down there. So we don't really go anywhere, but just it changed everything. Like I used to commute an hour into work every day.
Yeah.
And now I don't even start the car some week.
Yeah, doing web development. I mean, is it still the same job you had before COVID?
Yeah, it is. We communicate with Teams. It's just like this, Zoom calls. And I'm lucky enough that everything's online, so I can work from my house.
That it's crazy. Imagine if something like that hit when we were to these two knuckleheads.
Yeah.
I mean,
what would our parents do?
Yeah. I don't even think we had dial-up back then. We didn't have.
We had electronic battleship.
Yes, exactly. Battleship and cassette video games where you'd have to put the cassette in. And it's interesting how COVID kind of put things in perspective and kind of shown a light on what's important. I now teach from home this year. I was in the classroom I was an elementary school teacher for 10 years and still am, but like now I teach virtually, and I teach kids in Canada, kids in China, kids in Japan, and kids in Delaware. You know, I always think it's funny too, because like when I was first getting to know my first class, I'm talking to all these kids, and they're all like, you know, one kid's like, I am from the Republic of China. Yeah. I am from Osaka. I am from Canada. I am from Canada. I'm this. And then the one kid goes, I'm from Dover.
That's so cool.
And I'm just like, you know, like out of all, like I have this international smorgasbord, and then my U.S. kid is from Dover. Like, I'm from Dover. Yeah. That's awesome. And of course, you know, of all of them, he's the one that's just kind of whatever, man. You know, that kind of dude. But it's weird how things have kind of shifted. My wife, Deb, she's a payroll manager for a hospitality company. Okay. And she's like the payroll. She does it all. Yeah. And she does it all from home. Like there's no and for so long she had to commute and go to an office and put on makeup and stuff, and now she's kicking back. And but what's cool is it's not like she's kicking back, but she's got everything she needs right at her little home office deal. Yeah. And she can run everything off her laptop. She's got the printer, she's got this. If she's got to drop something off at the office, she picks up her mail, but that's the only time she has to really leave the house for work stuff. That and then those stupid, you know, team building meetings that they have, you know, she'll go in and be like, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting how that kind of shed some light. Yeah. How's what got you into web development?
It was funny. It was kind of right place, right time. Do you remember the .com boom?
Yes.
Everybody was talking about that for a while in the 90s. I just happened to, I originally wanted to be a photographer. So I went to school for photography, kind of fell in love with that. I liked being in the dark room, sort of like mixing chemicals. So there was
oh, that's definitely you, man.
Oh yeah. So it was fun because you got to be creative and, you know, express yourself, but you also got the side of it where I get to mix chemicals and I'm a mad scientist and light, you know, and with web development, it's the same thing where I can be creative and I can make something really interesting or crazy or whatever, but I can also drill down to the nuts and bolts of like building it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, they just offered this, it was a new thing, this .com bubble, and they offered one course and I was like, wow, I want to do this. And then, like I said, my mom passed and I just kind of focused on it and I was like into it and just worked right place, right time.
Very cool. Very cool. I have some ideas. We'll talk after this episode. I might have to collaborate with you on an idea I've got here. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But I always pictured that whatever you got into was going to involve a lab coat of some kind. So I could just see you in the dark room going,
exactly.
Or, you know, and now it's like web design, you know, and it is would you agree that like web design is as much an art as it is a science?
Oh, for sure. I work with a lot of people who are either like really artistic or really scientific, number driven, really clinical. And it's like it doesn't click for them. Like it's really hard to get, but you can find the people that are really just kind of shoot the middle where they enjoy both. And those are the people that seem to thrive.
Yeah. They're used to it. It's interesting. I was a robotics mentor for most of the 8 years I was in the school.
Okay.
And what we found was interesting was the kids that like they used the stigma was, well, robotics is for the gifted kids. It's for the gifted kids. Mm-hmm. You got to put the gifted kids in robotics. And I'm looking at my thing and I'm like, nah, I kind of want the kids I kind of want the Bad News Bears kids.
Yeah.
You know? I want them. And in my first couple, all of our teams were like the Bad News Bears of robotics. It was great. But it was like, these weren't always, because we'd have a couple kids that were identified gifted, But those kids struggled the most because the way that robotics was set up was now, they were used to things being so easy for them in school.
Oh, okay.
But now when they're presented with a challenge that they have to figure out, it wasn't coming easy for them. So they were struggling. But the kids that were kind of that, like you said, that kind of they were a little bit artistic, a little bit mathematics. Yeah. Those are the kids that thrive because they were used to the struggle. They were used to not being perfect on one side or the other. And they were used to things failing and learning from those failures and then moving beyond it. And like it was so funny because we had these two egghead kids, and I'm not to disparage egg kids, because praise the eggheads, man. We got a lot of cool stuff because of them. But these two egghead kids, they would come in, they jerk around, they just kind of play around. And meanwhile, these two girls, Cassie and Kara, they were like, they would start working before the bell rang. Like they would be already in, because they would talk during lunch about these ideas, like, hey, what if we put the claw like this, and what if we did it? And they'd sit there, and then like they had the most success at robotics, and they were like workhorses. Then it was cool because this one girl, Kara, like she might as well have had a tool belt around her. She was like this, and of course they would have fun. They would yuck around. It wasn't like they were like they would yuck around and have fun, but they were always working. And I found that they got more out of it. And it's interesting because it's kind of like you said, they were kind of in that middle where they had the scientific side, but they also had the creative side.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's so hysterical. I can absolutely see you in that role, like BattleBots, like encouraging them, and like that's amazing.
Did you ever find out? Right, it's had to have been when you were there. One of the worst punishments I ever got.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a whooping, and I was 2 weeks no video games, 1 week grounded.
Okay.
I wanted to build a robot. I wanted to build a transformer. Okay. Now, do you remember Big Track? There was this programmable tank. It was this futuristic programmable tank. Well, there's a reason why I no longer had one in 1984. So one day I'm home. Mom is doing something, whatever. I'm downstairs in our basement, and mad scientist. And this is when Transformers was huge, and Voltron, and GoBots, and all the cool things. And so I'm thinking, I'm going to build a transformer. So I get some screws, and I take apart the Big Track, and I have these two remote control tanks. I take them apart, and then I found my dad. My dad had this battery recharger. It was like this thing where you put the batteries in, and you press the thing, and it recharges batteries.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, well, I need a power source. So of course, again, this is like a very Calvin and Hobbes view of science. Like, I'm not sitting here thinking DC line. I have no idea what a transistor or resistor is. I have no idea about electronics. I've never touched a soldering gun. And yet I'm sitting here just thinking like macro, like, well, I need a power source. So the battery recharger will go there. The Big Track, I'll put his head up here. And so I start, and of course, I think I had like a Rector set or something like that. And that was going to be the body. And I separate the battery charger, and there's two circuit boards soldered together with the wires. And I'm like, oh, I can't get this apart. Wire cutters, clip, 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 irreparable. I just destroyed my dad's battery charger, and I've got all this, and I'm putting this stuff. I'm looking at up to this point, I haven't realized what I've done. I'm like, oh, I'm mad scientist mode. And then I hear the door open and shut. My dad's home. And like, almost like a bucket of cold water, I realized what I did. I realized that, and there's no way I'm going to get this robot built. I'm not going to get this robot built in the next like 2 minutes before he comes down and go, what are you doing? So I put everything into this garbage bag, and I chuck it behind his workshop. And of course, I go upstairs, and he's like, hey, Aaron, how's your day? I was like, I didn't do anything. And he's just like, okay, what's for dinner? Now we just go through it. 2 weeks later, on a Saturday, my dad's downstairs cleaning out behind the and he can't find his battery charger. He's looking for it.
Jesus.
And all of a sudden I hear, I'm upstairs goofing around. Who knows what I'm doing? I'm probably speaking into like Darth Vader in a fan or something. And all of a sudden I hear, Aaron Matthew Burden, get down here. And when my middle name comes out, I knew it. I knew it was dead. I go down the stairs. I'm going down to the basement. My mom's coming up the basement. And it's so funny because anytime I was in trouble with my dad, I'd always had that last minute plea to my mom. And she'd just go, like, I can't save you. I can't save you. You did it.
The governor's not making that call.
Yeah, there's no governor call on this one, man. And so I go down and he's got this thing and I'm just in tears. So, and he was like, and he just, and the thing was like, the whole thing was that because he asked me about if I'd seen it and what happened. And I said, I haven't seen it. And I lied to him about it. So that's where that was the real thing. But man, I had that itch, man. I had that robotics itch back then.
That's what it is. Honestly, it's that itch where you're not like you want to like rebuild the wheel, or you don't want to. It's just I want to make this thing poke that thing.
Yes.
And then you figure out how to do that, and then it's like, oh, maybe I can make this thing poke that thing and flip over backwards, and it just spirals.
You start to, and I think that starts with this.
It does.
You know,
I mean, does.
How do I make that? How do I make the battleship sound like a fart?
Exactly. I think we had that very conversation.
Yeah, we did. Hey, Aaron, what did you eat for lunch today? Hot Pocket.
Exactly.
Oh man, such good times, man.
Oh, absolutely.
How you feeling about the world today?
I'm hopeful. Like I said, it's hard working from home and being, I'm kind of cut off. I'm in my own little cave. I'm in my own little castle. So I try not to try to get out of my bubble every now and again. Mm-hmm. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
I like that. Cautiously optimistic. Yeah. Do you think more people need to get out of their bubble?
I think so. I think people say a lot of times that like with screens are destroying relationships and people don't talk to each other. I think that's true to an extent, but I think just sort of experiences together, whether it's on screens or whatever, just being with people. Like the quarantine kind of closed people off from each other a lot. So getting back into that groove of just hanging out or doing whatever, like again, just I'm going to make this thing touch that thing, but then you find somebody else that's interested in that. And that's where it all kind of, that stuff needs to happen more, I think.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Do you feel like social media has also kind of united people with common interests where where before there was rare to find somebody that had the same interest as you?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, especially for me anyway, it's with music. Finding people who are like, oh, I really like that band, or there's so many great bands, even in Pittsburgh, there's so many great bands that I didn't even know that like this kid next door is an amazing musician. He's written all these songs. So that kind of you can just happenstance to I discovered this today and that's awesome. And then tomorrow I'll discover this. So that sort of like discovery is kind of what I enjoy about social media. I think I'm not the average bear in that I don't interact with social media. I think the way a lot of people do, or a lot of people I see on the news. You know what I mean? I just kind of stumble over things and find out stuff. So that's what I'm all about.
So there's no Tim getting on there arguing like Green Day's not punk, man. Green Day hasn't been punk since 1995.
No, one thing I cannot do is arguments on Facebook. People writing those like paragraph long rebuttals, and I can't do. I don't have time for it.
Getting back to my dad. That's one of the things that makes me shake my head. He finds a way. Somebody will, like my aunt will say, happy birthday to Nicole. And he'll get on and he'll reply like, let's hope that Nicole doesn't join the establishment. And he'll go in with he'll turn into some political thing. Has nothing to do with the thing. Like he did something. What did he do? Someone was talking about anybody have any recommendations for a computer? And he's like, don't ask Hunter Biden about his laptop. I'm like,
Jesus Christ,
Dad, come on, man. Come on, go back to playing Fortnite and scaring little 8-year-old kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's I mean, he's a good guy, he's a smart guy, but I think he's an example of someone that gets caught trapped in a bubble, you know, which is dangerous, which we got to be careful of. We can get in that I hate to use the word echo chamber, but kind of that we get in our echo chambers. And
absolutely.
I think less social media is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Twitter, I use Twitter mostly just to keep up on, like, to promote the podcast and, you know, communicate with people.
Yeah.
Facebook's more of like where I keep track of people, my friends, my childhood friends, my 1984 friends, 83, 84 friends, and, you know, that kind of stuff. But it's like, I see kids doing TikTok, like, and it was interesting too, because I noticed after the pandemic, my last full year in the classroom was 21, 22.
Yeah.
And I noticed how the kids were very dependent on technology, and they lacked a lot of coping skills.
Okay.
And like they were awkward with each other face to face, but like they could get on a phone or something, get on a device and LOL, you know, WTF, and they were. It reminded me of that South Park episode where Stan's older sister meets her boyfriend that she's never met face to face, but they were always talking online, and then they meet face to face and like, hey, okay, bye, and then they go back online and they're having this great conversation. Yeah, it's scary that could happen, but
it does happen. It happens all the time.
But I like cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic. Yeah.
What makes you cautiously optimistic? What do you hold on to keep that optimism? Besides the matrix of leadership.
Leadership. Oh, so good. No, like I said, kind of experiencing my daughter is really important. It's kind of experiencing those new experiences, but like through her eyes, and that sort of like and the opportunity to be able to say, you should do this, like just go out of your comfort zone, just try this once. You don't have to like it, just try it once. So it kind of gives me hope that I'll be able to do it for one, but that other people might start to do that. That's like sort of cautiously optimistic, like I said.
I like that because I believe in human nature. I know the fallacies of human nature, but I also there's enough good out there too that doesn't get highlighted.
Yeah.
You know, like in news, it's always the negative stuff that gets the clicks, but there's also the good. We've seen that. You know, we've seen the positive stuff that has come out of things, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, coming back to social media, it's just finding out you have things in common.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's huge.
You know? I also think that it unites the trolls too. You know, every village has its idiot, but now all the village idiots have gotten together to become one giant mob of idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's totally true.
It's like, yeah, I like pineapple on pizza. Why do you hate pineapple on pizza? Your mom is a racist whore. Oh, how did that happen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good stuff, man.
By the way, pineapple anchovy pizza.
Really?
Game changer. Salty and sweet. Fantastic. Highly recommended. Just
pineapple anchovy. See, I'm not going to hate on it because that's another life experience that I'll try anything at least once.
Absolutely.
I'll throw one at you. It's an acquired taste, but spicy tuna and peanut butter sandwich.
Okay.
Exactly. That was my reaction. Okay.
Spicy tuna, like tuna tart, like raw tuna, or like what?
Not raw tuna. You want to get like the Sunkist packet. It's spicy tuna packet.
Okay.
It needs to be pre-cooked, but mix it with peanut butter. Not crunchy, because that throws the texture throws it way off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as you think. It's not as good as I was hoping though. But I'll just say that. I actually ate that as a dare. There was a pro wrestler that my friends of mine were interviewing, and he was talking about how that was his favorite thing to eat, and so we all had to try it once. If he won he won the match that he was going to wrestle, I had to eat peanut butter and tuna, and I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it like I thought I was going to.
I'm curious. Yeah, I love like like try anything once, but that sort of like adventure, like spicy tuna and peanut butter, man.
All right, you be honest with me. Your take on me was I was kind of that dreamer kid that didn't quite always live in reality, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what makes it fun.
So science and physics and reality always let me down, or always betrayed me.
Okay.
Because my view of how the world was supposed to be always got hammered down in, differently. What I mean by that is when I was around when I was 3rd, 4th grade, my favorite foods at that time that I loved was Lucky Charms cereal. I like Fruity Pebbles too, but Lucky Charms cereal. Okay. I loved Honey Roasted Peanuts.
All right.
And I really liked Parmesan cheese, which I want to talk to you about Pizza Hut, the dine-in Pizza Hut experience that we used to have. Parmesan cheese, I love to put Parmesan cheese on pizza. And what was the 4th thing? It was maple syrup. Maple syrup, right? Were my 4 favorite things. Well, I thought, if they're all my favorite things, how would they taste if I mixed them all together?
Okay.
So Lucky Charms, milk.
Oh my God.
Honey roasted peanuts, Parmesan cheese, maple syrup.
The verdict is what is?
Well, I took one bite. My dad was so pissed that he made me eat as well. He told me I had to eat the whole thing because I wasted all this food.
For sure. Yeah.
But it wasn't. So I think I got about 4 bites before I yacked all over the kitchen table. And then Dad said that I was grounded for a week, but I could, that was my choice. Finish the whole thing, or I'm grounded for a week. I'm like, I'm grounded.
That's hysterical. Oh, man. Give me 1 second. I'm looking at my screen there. I'm seeing them awfully dark here. I didn't realize the light was going to go. I'm going to turn the light in the room here.
Absolutely. And let's do a paid advertise, our sponsor.
There you go.
One of our sponsors, Tim, sometimes you need some financial coaching.
Can you recommend anyone?
Exactly. I have a friend of mine, a friend of ours, Vanessa Rutter Jackson is a financial coach, and she works wonders. If you've got that money and you're trying to figure out, especially in this economy. Economy, it's crazy. It's inflation and who knows what's going on. And, we're as my dad would say, we're giving all the money to Ukraine and not okay. Thank you, Dad, for that commentary. But but there is a financial coaching solution that I'd like to share with you. So let's hear from Vanessa Rutter Jackson's financial coaching. All right, we're going to take a quick break from solving all of the world's problems to tell you about a good friend of mine and a service she's offering. Are you tired of feeling like your dream financial future is out of reach? Are you struggling with overwhelming debt, trying to pay off your home early, or simply wanting to give more? Well, my good friend Vanessa Rutter Jackson is here to help. An educator and military veteran, Vanessa is here to guide you through the confusion and make your dream financial future a reality. With her certified financial coaching services, she'll help you create a personalized plan that sets you up to win with money. As an educator and a mother of 2, Vanessa understands the challenges of scraping by and stretching paychecks. She's been there, and she knows how to navigate the financial landscape to help you thrive. Don't let financial stress hold you back any longer. Take the first step towards financial freedom today with Rutter Jackson Financial Coaching. Reach out to Vanessa today for a free 45-minute consultation at varutter34@gmail.com or go to tinyurl.com/RJMoneyCoach. That's varutter34@gmail.com or tinyurl.com/RJMoneyCoach. Remember, it's never too late to take control of your finances and achieve your dreams. Start your journey to financial freedom with Rudder Jackson Financial Coaching today. All right, now let's get back to solving the world's problem with the most charming host on the interwebs. All right. I just realized, number one, that commercial's too long. I need to break it down to 30 seconds. And two, I want to reshoot it with you and me. We need to be like,
can I be that guy with the money?
Yeah, we need to be the money, like
that guy was the shit.
Yeah, he was like, look at me. So need you doing that, making it rain.
Yes.
I'll be the guy with the financial hardship. Like, like those commercials where it's like, that where they're trying to sell like the Tupperware that doesn't fall.
I can't pour milk. Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Like, that black and white, like,
yes.
Yeah, we need to reshoot that. And I want to do that with my my sponsors, is come up with much more almost tongue-in-cheek commercials. Oh, yeah. So I'm gonna need your help with those, man.
I'm all in.
We'll have to do some. My mom, when I brought up that I was going to be meeting with you, my mom requested someday. So we're gonna need you to do this. Maybe record yourself or get somebody to record you doing this. To this day, she still cracks up when she took us to McDonald's and you put a burger in your mouth and you went like that, like with the burger was the tongue, and she's to like it's burned into her brain. It's the funniest thing. So a request at some point, I need you to, whenever you're having a burger or something, and are you vegan now or something? Or
no, not at all.
Next time you have a burger, get somebody to record you and doing that, and we're gonna send it to her, because she was in tears the other night. I was talking to her the other night. She's in tears, crying about how funny that was to her. And I'm like, I had to remember. I'm like, oh yeah,
that's such a crazy thing to remember. Okay, next time I have a burger, I promise.
You made an impression. You made a difference, Tim. You made an impression. You thought that your time on this world was not important. Well, there you go. You made a elderly woman laugh in 2023.
I made a difference. That's fantastic.
Now we can move on with our lives. We know we've made a difference.
We've accomplished something. Put that in the book. Sorry.
So how is the web development going? What specifically do you do with web development? Or are you freelance, or is it much more like a specific company that wants you to, and how long have you been working for the NSA?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah,
exactly. I'll be knocking at your door in just a moment.
Oh no.
No, I've worked freelance for a while. I've worked mostly through ad agencies, but for the last maybe 7-8 years, I got a job with a company here in Pittsburgh. They're a software development company, so they make these really cool like software sort of widgets and different things that you can use. And but they're the promotional side of what they do, the marketing side of what they do. They have a website and they advertise things, and you can, shopping cart, you can buy their stuff online. That's where I come in. I kind of maintain that for the company.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you maintain the merch side of websites?
All of the above. Yeah.
Mental Health Mondays. We could have some fun with some merch. Now, everybody gets the mug and what. Let me ask you, what are some misconceptions about merch? What are some of the cool? What's the most popular merch that sells? Or what are some of the strangest things you've had to put up on a website? Like,
I don't know if there's too much strange stuff with what I'm doing now, but I know that with playing with a band, merch is kind of a big deal.
Yes.
Like we have t-shirts, like I said, t-shirts and stickers and stuff. There was a band that was making condoms. It was that they were, I believe they're called the Filthy Lowdown. The Filthy Lowdown had condoms that you could get, and it was hysterical. Everybody wanted one, and those things just 25 cents, 50 cents, whatever they were, but they just sold out of them constantly.
Well, I would feel really safe and secure having sex with a Filthy Lowdown condom.
Right? That you bought at a sketchy bar.
I would be more worried what I'd catch from the condom.
Exactly. But that was the fun of it, because it was just kind of so weird. Like, you're not going to use it, but this is, yeah.
Mom, Dad, how was I made? Well, the Filthy Lowdown broke. We were at this concert.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you think about it, like a punk band, like what would be what would be some merch item that for a punk band that would be perfect, but they've never done. I mean,
oh man,
you could do a nipple ring that promotes the band.
You could, like goofy shit, like really corporate stuff, like big golf umbrellas.
Yes,
like, hysterical, because nobody, like, what are you gonna do with that?
That's brilliant. You got to have like punk logos on like corporate, like
exactly.
Caddyshack kind of, like, golf balls, or
yes,
like an Izod shirt.
I was just thinking that same thing with the embroidered. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be tremendous, man. we at our elementary school, we had the Department of Sanitation come do a presentation, because one of the teachers' husbands worked for sanitation.
Okay.
And I can't confirm or deny. Well, that whole situation's for another podcast. But he and his work partner were a little too friendly, so we were wondering if there was there were some other pipes that he was into cleaning. But anyways, I digress. But he brought, like, for the kids, and again, this is like first, second, and third graders.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most boring presentation until he brought the merch out. He gave them free little squishy toilets, and they were like this big, and they had the like Department of Sanitation logo on the back of them.
Yeah,
and gave them out to all the kids, and of course, immediately, like, for the next several days, it was pegging each other with these toilets, like throwing the toilets at each other.
Yeah,
and then to the point where my buddy Shane, one time, he broke it. We snuck into the music room and pegged the music teacher while she was in the middle of teaching. She's teaching recorder, the whack.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we need to come up with some crazy merch.
Yeah, it's just it's the weird stuff. It's the weird stuff that people want. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's what you got. That's what you're gonna focus on.
Yeah, and they'll remember. Can you imagine putting on a condom and then, like, going, yeah, that band was pretty cool. stopping that, and see, yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the direction to go. I think we got to find some cool merch, and merch, definitely marketing. Get some cool stickers out there.
For sure.
But yeah, man, that's cool. I have some ideas. I think the education system's starting to head more towards at least a hybrid, if not completely virtual environment, from the standpoint of a lot of the issues going on in physical buildings. There's a lot of, we just had this last year. There was a 6-year-old that shot his first grade teacher.
Yeah.
And they're actually, she's suing them because, she had gone to the office. There was all these warnings about this kid. And story. Did you hear that they're saying it's workman's comp? It's part of the job.
No, I hadn't heard that take on it yet.
Yeah, they're trying to dismiss her lawsuit and say that being shot by a student is, unfortunately, in this day and age, something to be expected. So
yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So, but that's why I think we might be going towards more of a virtual environment. I don't know, but if anybody was interested in making a education website, where you virtually teach kids, maybe I might need somebody to help me build that website. So you never know.
I might know a guy.
You might know a guy. Yeah, I know a couple people.
I know people who know people.
Oh man. So this has been awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, we could spend another 2-3 hours talking about stuff, man. But this has been awesome. Let's do this again in a couple months. And I mean, let's stay in touch frequently, but let's do this again in a couple months, and we'll maybe we'll do some sketch comedy or something. I don't know. We'll bring back dust off the old radio show or the old turkey television stuff, and
yeah, we'll figure something out. This has been a blast. Thank you so much for doing this. It's awesome to see you, man.
Awesome to see you too, man. There's something about you just picking up where you left off.
Yeah.
40 years ago, it's like, hey, Pasportos.
Exactly, Pasportos.
Well, this has been awesome. Hey, so Tim, any words of wisdom, final thoughts, anything, any deep philosophical Zen, Mr. Miyagi thoughts?
I'm not a very quotable guy. Let's just keep your area clean.
Keep your area clean. Don't eat the yellow snow.
Don't eat the yellow snow.
Yeah. Keep your area clean. I like that. Keep your area clean.
My dad says that. I don't know.
No, I like that. I like that. And I think I was gonna talk about real quick though. Do you remember the Pizza Hut, the sit-down Pizza Hut that was in Dumfries?
Yeah,
and it had that. Yeah, and it went. All right. Do you remember whenever there was 3 of us in the back seat? Do you remember this? Hey, left nut. Hey, right nut. Look at the penis in between us.
It's funny because honestly, I was drawing a total blank, but the rhyme of penis in between us just brought absolutely. I totally do.
And it was always funny because we'd always fight on who was going to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Hey, left nut. Hey, right nut. Look at the penis in between us.
Penis in between us. I absolutely do. Yes.
Oh my goodness. God. So there you go. Yeah. Forget the keep your area clean, which that's also great. But the penis in between us. Don't let the penis in between us bother the left nut or the right nut.
That's the your words you end on right there. That's black it out. Show's over. Yeah.
Well, for Tim Emanuel, the Dr. Tim Emanuel, the world conqueror, I am A.A. Ron Burden. This has been Mental Health Mondays. This is the first of many as we continue to plot to take over the world. Same thing we do every day, Pinky. And we will catch you later. Narf! Catch new episodes of Mental Health Mondays every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Start your week off with a smile and some inspiration.